Hello, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, devoted to promoting musicians and authors worldwide. Call us today at 941-877-1552 to start your free publicity evaluation. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Please welcome the host of Interviewing the Legends, music journalist, author, and entrepreneur, Ray Shasho.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends on BBS Radio, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call us today at 941-877-1552 or email us at publicityworksagency.com. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. And by the Rockstar Chronicles, Series 1, my new book featuring over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know. Available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. Arthur Brown is a truly groundbreaking rock music icon who pioneered a theatrical approach to musical performance that has been cited as an influence on Rock Hall of Famers Alice Cooper and Kiss. Going under the memorable moniker, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, the British-born singer achieved breakthrough success with a blockbuster hit single in 1968, the colossal freakout Fire, which he used as a launching pad for an incredible career that continues this day. And today, he releases a superb new track, Zombie Yelp, just in time to get all the groovy ghoulies, young and old, in the mood for the past Halloween season. Written by Brown and Alan Davey, formerly of British space rock kings Hawkwind, who not only produced the track but performs on it as well, Zombie Yelp rides a distinctively spooky retro groove laid down by the vintage keyboards of Vanilla Fudge founder Mark Stein, as well as Davey's driving bass guitar, all of which set the stage for the Browns' unearthly vocal delivery that ranges from piercing howls to demonic growls. It's the perfect mix of psych rock, ecstasy, and campy fun. Davey shares these thoughts about working on the track. It was a great fun writing this new song with Arthur. He's always a hoot to work with, and his lyrics are funny as feck. I'm proud to have mixed and produced it too. Stein reflects on his own history with Brown, saying, "The crazy world of Arthur Brown and Vanilla Fudge shared the stage back in the late 60s. Arthur is still crazy after all these years and still killing it. Zombie Yelp is a wild tune with great grooves and lyrics. I had a blast playing organ on it. Just wait till you hear this track, loving it." Ed Brown sums it up perfectly in his typically enigmatic fashion. Spirits lagging? Need some help? Dive right into the Zombie Yelp. Please welcome English rock singer and songwriter best known for his flamboyant and theatrical performances with The Crazy World of Arthur Brown and Kingdom Come, the god of Hellfire, Arthur Brown. Hello, Arthur.
Hi there, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's great to hear from you again. You're always one of my favorite interviews.
Yeah, I'm looking at my prop sheet here that if we can bring up at some point in the conversation. I seem to be the busiest that I've ever been.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, listen to that. Wait a minute. That's my... I don't know if you can hear it. That's got rid of it. It's the dishwasher.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Brown washing his dishes.
Yeah, even the god of Hellfire has to pay the domestic god his dues.
Well, it's good. It's good to know, that the God of Hellfire is very clean.
Yeah. And, we've been doing the zombie Yelp.
Right.
And it's an exciting, and it's part of an album revisiting some of the songs from the 50s, the sort of comedy or tongue-in-cheek horror albums. It comes out on Cleopatra Records, and they are quite a bunch of fun, those guys.
Yes, they are. I've worked with them many times. When is the album officially coming out?
Oh, that one I don't know. It's up to them. They are, they are next to God.
Right.
They do it when they do it, and so I'm not allowed to know that yet.
Huh. Well, the single, you can see the single, hear the single on YouTube. It's out there.
Yeah.
Yep. It sounds great. I love it. Great song.
Well, yeah, I remember singing with Alan Davey on the bass on several gigs, and he's quite a wild man, and his interest in all kinds of different sounds and styles of music,
right,
is a wonder. So, and of course, Mark Stein is a phenomenal keyboard player. So it was a pleasure doing this.
Yeah, we've had Mark on the show. He's a good guy. He's very talented. He's been around forever, but he still looks good. After all these years.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do horror music, you have to look good. If you look at Vincent Price, he always looked at smarty pants.
Yeah, he never looked really old.
No, that's the, if you're going to be the master of horror, you can't be terrified by anything.
And of course, Boris Karloff, he was another great.
Oh, yeah. And some of the people in politics today just went on.
No, they're all scary.
Yeah.
They're scarier than the old 60s monsters.
I think that's the subject best moved on from.
I know. We always get in trouble when we go there. Well, you also put out the Crazy World of Arthur Brown's House of the Rising Sun, which was a Crazy World of Lockdown. That was put out as well.
Yeah, it was started by Ian Grant,
right,
who was a one-time mine manager, and before that, Big Country and the Stranglers, as well as working with early David Bowie stuff. So he decided he wanted to, put something together and raise some money for a good cause. And he put together a stellar group of musicians, and then asked me to come in and be the sort of front man and have a liaison with the media and everything. And so the idea, I must say, I did not choose the song. But the idea was that, was originally a folk song, and that there was time for doing yet another version of it. I think it's probably had well nigh a million versions.
Well, not too many people can do Eric Burden, but you've done Animals hits before, and you've done a great job with them. So
you've got to get out of this plate.
Right.
was another one that I can't remember just at this moment. But yeah, we did a slightly different version, and yeah, it raised some profile and brought in some money for the help musicians, and actually also, resulted in a manifesto that was put up by the Guardian newspaper. So
right.
All about the love of musicians in modern society. You may not know, but the English government said that classical musicians and real art should be supported by the government, but as for pop musicians, they should get retrained in some other part of the working force.
Really? Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know how much money pop music made in this world?
I know. I think it was probably at least in the top 5 earners for England.
Yep.
And it must be the same across the whole world. But there you go.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, classical music, I like classical music, but it doesn't make much money at all, just, I mean, look, come on. How many people?
I love it too, but the snobbery surrounding it, I don't really love.
Yeah. And of course, prog rock came from classical music, and, I thank Brits all the time for prog rock because that was their baby.
Yeah, it was. In fact, I did a tour in 2019 of the US with Yates, Pager, John Ross of the Moody Blues, and Carl Palmer's ELP Legacy Band, which was a good slice of English prog, and a good slice of some what sounded like neo-classical music.
That was a great tour. I didn't get to see it, but my cousin saw this in Baltimore, and she went on and on about you.
Well, I wouldn't say that I was probably the best dressed out of all.
Arthur, you deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because you're a pioneer. And the same thing with people like Joan Jett, not Joan Jett, I'm sorry, Susie Quattro. You guys are the pioneers. The first ones to do this, and just for that, you should be there. Because that's history.
Well, if that is something that gets you in there, I've no objection to being put in there.
Yeah.
I mean, there were we explored the theatrical musical side, and of course, so we did influence Alice Cooper, Queen, and lots of other people. And in terms of the look of the band and the mood of it, there were people that came later, King Diamond and all of those people. But then also, if you go way back to 73, my band then put out an album called Journey, and it was the first band to do away with the drums and have a drum machine and use it live as the basis of the band. And that was the first one of those. It was probably 6 years later when Cars came out, and then a whole stream of electro drum beating guys. So that was another one of the new things. And I do like bringing in new stuff into music. It's one of the things I do like. Performance.
The Journey album was one of my favorite albums. It came out about the same time as Dark Side of the Moon, and it was way ahead of its time, man. You know, I could listen to that over and over again today, all the tracks.
Yeah, you know, and it's nice to come back to the place that we were in when we did that. We didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to come out of it. We had no idea what it would sound like. We had no idea of the fact that, for instance, the bass player got a headache on every gig we played because the machine has no give whatsoever. You know, if you're playing with the drummer,
right,
you wander around each other, and occasionally you have to pick up the beat and all of that. With the drum machine now, every single beat has to be right.
Wow.
So we didn't know anything of what was going to come out of it, and we were very well pleased when I think the first main gig we did, there were two. One was at LSE, London School of Economics, and that was even before we had the synthesizer player. Mm-hmm. And so it was a very stripped back, but the students loved it. And then we did another educational concert where we played to a school audience where the boys and girls were about 11 years old.
Wow.
And the headmaster said he thought it was a great success. Other headmasters who saw it said that it was shocking for the children to see, you know, people rolling around on the stage in a onesie and having face makeup and all of this stuff and long hair. So that was the complaint was sent to Margaret Thatcher, who was, I think at that time, she wasn't the Prime Minister then.
Right.
But, yeah, so we stirred a lot of people up.
Yeah, I love the music a lot. You know, some of it, a couple of tracks could almost sound ambient, you know, like ambient music today. It could be played as ambient music because ambient got a little out there nowadays, you know. It's kind of neat, kind of psychedelic, you know, peaceful, relaxing music. But, you know what I...
Yeah, you know,
yep.
It's there is a sort of lots of different currents in the music world, and some of them remain, you know, as part of an unusual part of, let's say, the funk scene,
mm-hmm.
and then someone pulls it out from that rhythm and just leaves it standing in the air, and it's ambient, or, you know, and so the changes that come with that piece of music that we did, we would maybe hark back to modern jazz or whatever.
Right.
The form made it available to, you know, pop and might have had an influence on some of the heavy metal bands as well.
I thought some of the tracks could have been soundtracks too for movies like Gypsy. That's an epic song, you know.
Yes. And it's just a question of what comes to mind when you sit down, particularly when it's a form of music that is not, you know, like if you've got a drum machine, you don't have the kind of flexibility that a drummer would have.
Right.
But on the other hand, you can move into with a four-piece band, a quartet, you can move into a percussion orchestra, a Latin percussion orchestra, just pressing the buttons. And would do on his snare. What was on the snare was just slow, fast, speedy, and so your solos were a different kind of things than you would do in a normal band, and I think some of those ended up veering towards music that became music concrete later, just because it was, we were putting ourselves under a particular discipline that nobody else had at that time, because they weren't using that first, the primitive drum machine.
Arthur, I don't want to start any trouble or anything, but I'm a big Yes fan, and we've had John Anderson. I've had all the guys from Yes on the show, but Spirit of Joy, the opening sounds a lot like Soon, Oh Soon the Light from the Relayer album. And you did it first.
Well, yeah, but I'm about to see them.
I noticed it first.
But I think the real factor was that there were people in the band, particularly the keyboard player who left after we created the basis of the drum machine music. He left. He was particularly into classical music,
right?
And so we drew the guitarist. Loved it, but he wasn't into it. But they worked together so that they could do a classical solo.
Right.
And they alternate notes, so that it was one note on the guitar, one on the keyboard, one on the guitar.
Yep.
And these very intricate solos, which were drawing from the classical tradition, because they had such great melodies.
Yes, I believe. Yep.
And the tones on the instruments were amazing. That later, I think with the prog scene and Hendrix, particularly, the whole thing started to look at the nature of the sound that was coming out of the guitar, and to have as much variety in a solo guitarist that you might have in a classical quartet, or even some of them. Hendrix, some of his stuff, you've got as many as you would have in an orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenal achievement, and it was all because of the electronics.
Exactly. I want to mention also your latest album, Gypsy Voodoo, which I loved. I loved as well. It's a fun album. It really is. And like the Kings, very theatric. I love the guitar in that. I had a lot of favorites there. I like Love and Peace in China, can you talk about that track a little bit? Love and Peace in China.
Well, it was reflecting a situation in China that was disturbing some people over here, which was the Falun Gong kind of, it was a form of Tai Chi, and so that became a contentious subject.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea was there was just somebody who came over here, as is lots of Chinese people do, and what was there from here for them, and what was there for them in China, particularly as a result of coming over here.
Right. Another track I thought sounded epic. It could be another movie soundtrack sound, maybe for a superhero or something. Is "Footsteps in the Desert."
Yeah. Somebody said it was like a full-scale early David Bowie track.
Oh, it's great.
Well, the thing was that it was that album started out as an album between me and an old friend who has a studio,
mm-hmm.
and actually my partner Claire and manager, and we were going to create a spoken word album, but it kind of developed in a different direction
right.
in order to be able to do something that we could play at some tracks from festivals and things. But the reason you might see it as a soundtrack, some of the tracks was because that's what it was. It was the soundtrack, but we also had the story,
mm-hmm.
and it was going to be visually enacted as well. So yes, it was soundtrack.
Radiance was another favorite, very psychedelic. Fusion, I hear fusion in that. Another favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. And it made use of some of the new developments in electronic.
Yep.
Musical memories that you can make use of.
And of course you got a new version of Fire on it as well.
Yeah, actually that one will not be on the future album.
Uh-huh.
It's infringing a particular copyright.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can still hit the high notes, after all these years. That's crazy. You got a great voice, man. There's so much you can do with that voice. It's amazing. It really is.
Well, I did. I've had a sort of very background in music of blues. I would say I had my own modern jazz quartet, and then I delved into different of the musical traditions of the world. So some of that comes out in the way I sing. And then, of course, I also did take, when I had my modern jazz quartet and I started singing, I thought, well, I don't have a voice. People think I like it. There's so much I can't do. So I took classical training.
Oh, so you were classically trained. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I was ready when I stopped to go and do concerts on the classical stage, but I certainly I practiced with all the scales, had a teacher, and went through some of the arias, and I learned a lot. I mean, the breathing is enough to because I think a lot of the rock singers, particularly the early ones, sang from the throat
mm-hmm.
or from the head, and then there's the middle voice in the chest. But the classical is you use those, but mainly it's based on the stomach, so that the whole body is the column of air, and with the spine, with all five breaths, and with the frequency of the vocal cord, that the whole body vibrates, and that's where the sound comes from. And so if you sing, is surprising about classical, and the idea that you really sing your best when you're young, about 30 or so. There are notes in the operas that you can't sing until you're over 50. The muscles don't develop.
Are you thinking about the mechanics, though, when you sing? I mean, you're mentioning the stomach and this and that, whatever. I couldn't do that. Are you actually thinking about it, or it just comes naturally now?
Well, that's the real thing is, when you learn from an opera or a light opera singer, and you really want to sing rock, blues, jazz, you have to spend, in my case, say a year and a half,
right,
continuing, say, singing rock songs that you have to learn to forget. You have to learn to forget so that the voice that comes out for you is the voice that fits.
Right.
Because if you hear a lot of the classical people singing, trying to sing like a rock singer, it's not convincing.
Right, exactly.
And when I know there was a period where three of the top pop singers took singing lessons, and after a while, you could not tell them much apart. Whereas before they'd been totally different singers. You couldn't, they were, you could recognize them instantly, and then they started to sound like each other.
Right.
So, and I think those people also, I mean, I know that, say, Elvis always wanted to be able to sing those big notes, and when Tom Jones came along and could sing them, Elvis, he did some training, and of course Elvis was a martial artist. He was unfit. It's just, where do you sing from?
Tom Jones is amazing. I always, I saw him in concert, I don't know, 5-6 times, but I saw him recently do a concert during COVID outside with only maybe one instrument and him. And when you can do that, you got a great voice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember seeing an interview of his where he said, well, if you're asking me what my favorite form of music is, boogie-woogie music. And of course, if you're singing boogie-woogie, you sing to one instrument, the piano.
Right, exactly.
And, he was amazing at that, the early rock and roll and bluesy tinge things. And I think towards the end of his life, his late career, I don't think his life, he started to sing in a different way.
Right.
To sing about different things, sing about things that you kind of take into mind when you're older. What is death? What is, and of course that drew him back to gospel and blues and stuff. So I think his voice has been one of the voices.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a lot of rock singers, but only a few that are memorable. You can say, and powerful. You're one of them. Ian Gillan from Deep Purple. During his heyday.
Oh, yeah.
What a voice he had. And of course, Freddie Mercury is another one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the flexibility of his voice is amazing.
Yeah. And Peter Gabriel, another, distinctive voice, that sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I think, that brings a good point up. When you're singing, what's really reaches people is that you're feeling what you're singing and feeling it in your heart, and you sing from there. And so you can get as much of an effect on people with what would normally be counted as not a terribly good voice,
right?
As you can with a great voice.
Exactly.
And I think, for instance, Louis Armstrong had a fantastic guttural blues voice, but when he did, It's a Wonderful World, he was just singing very lightly and from the heart, and there are not out of all the pop people and to a certain extent the classical people, there are only a small amount who sing from the heart consistently.
Another guy is Joe Cocker. His voice was not exactly the greatest voice, but he sung from the heart.
Yeah, he did. And I remember he was complimented by his great idol, Ray Charles.
Yep.
And, just as another great English voice, Chris Farlow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was complimented by Otis Redding. So,
yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, especially now, won't remember that you actually started out with the Foundations and doing R&B stuff, man. I love the Foundations. They're a great band.
Oh, yeah. They were at the time called the Ramon Sound.
Right.
And it was when I sang co-lead with Clint.
Yep.
And it was when, during that period, the UFO Club, the underground club, started up as well. And so I was singing with the Ramon Sound, but at the same time I just started the Crazy World with Vincent Klein, the Seeker,
right?
The trio, and we were getting paid £35 a gig between us, and that was not a lot of money even in those days. And I'm not finding many gigs because it was a multimedia show, and they were not. I never had I was singing, for instance, Nightmare, and they didn't know what these lyrics meant, and so down to one of the Ramon Stein gigs, then the publishers, and they had a song, and they said, we want you to sign a 3-year contract, and we'll change your name to the Foundations, and we're going to make it a hit. And that was Baby Now That I Found You, which did go to number 1. So I, however, thought, oh my gosh, so I'm going to have to commit to 3 years of this.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll mean I can't do the experimental music, which was my real love.
Right.
So I left the band, and I think it was 4 months later they got their big hit. And we were still paying for £35 a night for Crazy World. But a year later, I think it was a year later, we got a hit with Fire, so it's fine.
Just to remind the audience, the Foundations was very cultured, group. They were made up of West Indians, white British, and Sri Lankans. And they were one of the first bands to kind of do that, you know.
Yeah.
And yep.
They had a place in Ladbroke Grove,
Mm-hmm.
up in Hill, and they rehearsed in it in the afternoon. Then in the evening, it was a coffee bar and eating establishment, and so they had varied foods there and everything. And it was and we sang a lot of soul music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sam and Dave, Ray Charles, of course, and it was what you might call a multi-ethnic band, really.
Yeah, I think that was probably before War, Eric Burden and War, which was another band like that. But
yeah, that was a few years later,
right?
Yeah.
But they had the big hits, of course, "Baby, Now That I Found You" and "Build Me Up, Buttercup." That was their claim to fame, the foundations. And I was sad to see Clem Curtis pass away because I was trying to get an interview with him, and I was shocked that he passed away as well. So.
Oh yeah. He loved singing, and he was a great singer. And I remember for him, the success came with some pressure that he found hard, which was that when they had Build Me Up, Buttercup and everything, they were touring America, he was so aware that now he was plastered all over TV everywhere, and he didn't like to go out without two security guys, and so he could never just walk around the streets.
Right. Right.
But yeah, he was singing with him. It was great. I found him really generous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get people singing that are competitive with each other, but no, he was just interested in it. Sounded good and sounded right and enjoying it.
I just want to talk about Fire, the Inception of Fire, real quick. It came out in '68. You were right behind Hey Jude. I mean, how big of a hit is that? Man, oh man.
Yeah. And we did some of the recording in Abbey Road at the same time as they were doing Sgt. Pepper.
Wow.
And, they were singing and verified it with them, wandering around their studio singing their songs with candles on their head, lit candles, and I'm the
fire. I'm sure they appreciated your humor.
Yeah, it was a very that band that the Crazy World as it was then when we wrote it was a very mixed band musically. We were also the tallest trio in England. We were all over 6 feet, about 6'1" or 2", and I was 6'3". But the drummer, for instance, he was the only person in England to have a complete set of the Smithsonian's African tribal music drums.
Wow.
And he had the complete set, and he spent hours upon hours. And he also became the tabla player of choice for visiting Indian musicians. It was before that, the Beatles made it really popular. So they played mainly cafes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And smaller halls. But he was the tabla player of choice for people who come over here. We played once with the Scottish National Orchestra on percussion. But he loved the African music. He loved avant-garde jazz, classical music, electronic music. And so that was one influence in the band. Vince was very much into modern jazz, but not so much the avant-garde side of it, as George liked the drum.
Right.
But he also was a trained classical musician. He could compose, he could conduct orchestras, and that was why Kit Lambert, who was the producer of it with Pete Townsend, his father was a classical composer also, so between them that became an influence on the band and the way it was played, and we drew on some of the classical operas for some of the kind of structures we used in repeating sections of the music during an evening. And then I particularly liked the blues, soul, had my classical training, and jazz, and I liked folk. I listened to folk singing. So, and I also loved Spanish music and Indian music. One of the melodies in the Fire album was an Indian melody. It was a very challenging format to be in, where you'd be maybe playing a blues thing, but suddenly out of one of them would come a classical piece or an overpowering electronic howl or something that would disrupt it, but we just kept going on through it, and then wrote over the top of it the melodies, and so yeah, it was very interesting. And in the studio, a lot of it, half the album that we did, that was also a top 10 hit on both sides of the Atlantic, was improvised. The lyrics and melody were improvised in the studio, and the poetry and all of that. So it was a very live thing, and we were lucky to have Peter Townsend around, who was a great influence for us.
Yep.
None of us three had been in the studio in any recording capacity, so this was our first, and Pete was able to come up with ideas and help us. So the album was a product of all of those people, and I learned, frankly, new ways of singing during the process of recording it, because, say, Kid Lambert would say, well, that sounds really good, the way you did it, Africa, but what do you think if you did this? And you could have tremolo feel, and I said, I don't know, I'll try it. So the ones that worked became part of my stable process of singing. And I think the song happened with the drums and the keyboards. Some of the keyboard parts were rhythmically copied from the Creation's drumming riffs, and done the other way around. There was a great deal of musical respect in the band.
I mean, it was perfect for the period. It just came out. The timing was absolutely perfect. During that brief psychedelic period. The 66 through 68, I guess. And then things started changing a bit. But you know, it's a song that'll live on forever. You know?
Well, yeah. And it was also a turning point in because there was the French Revolution at that point. Vietnam and everything, that it swung around from the hippie, trippy, happy days things to some things that had slightly darker tones in as well, you know. So that was also a different period of the music. And but coming back to improvising and everything, I'm doing various things at the moment. I'm working, for instance, with a Peruvian band called Lord de Lotra. And it's produced by Roy B.
Right.
And it features metal music and Peruvian pipes.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, I'm just going to do one song on the album. I got to, you know, they've sent me a track, and I'm going to be working a melody over it, some lyrics. So that's really interesting, because Claire and I both would love to tour South America, and then bring all of that into Europe and America as well. And I have to say also that I can't say who it's with, but I've just signed a new album deal. In fact, it's for 2 albums and more.
Wow.
And we've already done the artwork, and we've prepared all the merchandise. There's going to be a coffee table, huge book with it.
Excellent.
So, yeah, that's hush hush, so I can't say that.
Okay.
And I'm writing the album after that one that's going to be released on that same label. So that's, quite busy.
You're a busy guy, man. You know?
Well, I do have another one. An ELP tribute album. And I was brought into it by Billy Sherwood, who...
Oh, yeah, sure. I know Billy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and he had David... Yeah, he played in the Emerson Palmer tribute that I sang with on Carl's tour. And the bass player, David Pastorius, is the nephew of, or the grand-nephew of the famous Pastorius.
Really? Huh.
The bass player, yeah. And so Billy called me up and said, would I do the track that I opened the set that I did with Carl Palmer with, which is the put back my friend, that song.
Mm-hmm.
And so that one's out there as well.
Great.
It's just, my goodness.
Yeah, I like Billy. He's always into everything, man. He's even gotten William Shatner aboard doing music, classic rock and prog music and everything. That's pretty cool.
Well, did you know that he is, and Billy's doing this with Cleopatra,
right?
And so Mr. Shatner has just had a #1 in the blues chart.
That's great.
doing his spoken version of I Put a Spell on You.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a kind of what would you call it?
That's amazing.
A gathering of musicians who like the same kind of stuff.
You know who Billy's godfather was, right?
No.
Milton Berle.
That explains a lot.
Milton Berle, yeah. Because, his dad was a big band guy, Bobby Sherwood, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Next time you...
Amazing. I mean, it's such a lovely and a friendly man indeed.
Yeah. Next time you talk to him, mention that. Mention about his godfather.
But I tell you what, recording with him is such a quick thing.
Yeah, he's good.
For a vocalist, he is spot on, and he lets you go until you reach your zone. And then turns it down, and I think I got my track in about from scratch of hearing it, because it doesn't sound like the Carl Palmer version. I think I got it in about 22 minutes.
He's good at what he does.
It's always a pleasure when a producer can help you find your feet and produce a good performance.
Exactly.
Quickly. I remember, without mentioning more film names, but working with Ken Russell on Tommy.
Yep.
And, I sang the second half of the tune that Clapton does. And,
you were the priest, right? The priest? Weren't you a priest?
Yeah.
The god of Hellfire is a priest.
Well, I won't but I am a vicar as well. And so Ken Russell said, look, you're going to film it, you're going to wear these things, go away with the girls and the guys who are going to be wearing these costumes, marching up and down down the aisle of the church, and work out what you're going to do, and then come back and sing it. And so we did it. Took us about 4 hours, by which time it was midday. We started really quite early, and so we did it. So yeah, that's great. But I think we can do better. And then 25 takes later, which, when you've got all those people and you've got to do a lot of the walking down the aisle so it fits in with the rest of it. But 25 takes is a long time.
Yeah.
But eventually it got to the point where I thought, I just haven't got anything more to give. And he said, do one more, man. And that was the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was a great director because he would do things like that. I remember there was one film where he got the lead person who was supposed to be, not the lead, one of the co-leads, was supposed to be haranguing somebody in it. And they did, but he said it's not convincing. And he said, come sit down. So they sat down and he got them drunk.
Right.
and said, right, now, I know you can hardly stand up, but do it. And that was the case. That was where it broke through whatever reservations you had to have. And I suppose I had gone in and out of my zone there, and he knew that.
Yeah.
So he just pushed it until I couldn't do it without. I knew I couldn't try it.
Yeah, you'd be an excellent actor. I know you were in a lot of films earlier. I guess like in the '60s, which you did a great job. But even maybe even a Shakespearean actor, because you got that that voice.
I have the ability.
See?
It appears to be an Elizabethan noble.
Excellent.
A giant.
See, that's great.
Yeah. No, I auditioned for a film that Richard Harris did, which was about Yorkshire, called The Sporting Life.
I loved Richard Harris. He's awesome. Yeah.
I did hold a horse's head in the front line of Beckett with Peter O'Toole.
Oh, really?
But I never made it as an actor. I didn't actually get any chance because I was touring all the time.
Right.
I'll tell you one final acting story.
Okay.
Which is Roger Daltrey.
Right.
Who declared to me that he was going to be a film star. It was before he did Bruce and all of those. And so they had the premiere of Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a big party in LA upstairs in a huge building. And so you could hear all the noise from up there. I got there, 40 minutes after the beginning, and knew that all the who's who of the film world were there. And so I came round the corner and I saw Roger Daltrey on a bench, just nonchalantly sitting outside, nobody else inside. And I said, hello. And he said, hi, Arthur. And I said, what are you doing? And I'm just sitting here. And I said, well, I thought you were going to be a film star. Shouldn't you be upstairs? I was meeting all the directors and everything. And he said, oh man, I can't stand all that stuff. I'm waiting on this bench because my mum's coming by and we're going off for a cup of tea. Which I thought was a wonderful way to spend his time.
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with to become an actor. All that stuff. It's a different world. It really is.
It is, and I think, he just keep his feet on the ground. He was never a drug addict or anything like that. Right. And,
yeah, you would have been great. I would have loved to have seen you gone out and drink with Richard Harris and Peter O'Toole.
I don't think you would have seen me. I would have come before.
Those guys are crazy, man.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of them are, and I probably was myself at that point.
Arthur, here's your final question, and I ask everybody, and I'm sure I've asked you this before. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I think I would invite my partner Claire.
Yeah?
Because she's got great musical effort.
Right.
And very, very theatrical. And also we talk about everything. And if it was going to be a one-off time, that would be it.
Right. Oh, good answer.
Yeah.
Simple answer.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Some guys I would pair you with. I had John McLaughlin on the show not long ago, and he just did he does completely different things when he wants to. He's like you, he likes to do world music. He's very innovative. He just did an Indian album with the guys singing all in Indian. He does it because he enjoys it and he respects the musicians. I'd like to see you with John. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, the explorations that could be done with that.
Definitely.
Music would be fantastic.
Yep.
And it's still kind of wide open. It's not like that. Oh, you've done some of it. That's it. always new things to investigate, new technologies to investigate. Yeah, he's lovely. He's I suppose, a kind of genius. Really.
Yeah, he's a lot like you. He likes it, and he loves the world music. Always experimenting with different sounds, just like you. So I think you guys would have been a good match. Yep.
Yeah.
Arthur, I want to thank you so much. Oh, yeah. You and John. Definitely.
Oh. Who would you work with?
Me? Wow. I mean, as an interviewer, I mean, Johnny Carson I was a big fan of his just because of his longevity and, his very relaxed demeanor. But I like, what's his name now? The British guy that he's been on the air for a long time. I think he's excellent at what he does. He's very fast, very funny. Graham Norton.
Oh yeah,
he's great. I mean, the way he comes up with things so fast, and he's got all the celebrities on the show. I mean, he's quick. He's very quick. He's not.
Yeah, he's quick. And the thing is that some of those guys are so involved with being quick and clever,
right?
That you hardly get to hear anything from the guests.
Right.
So he's not like that.
No, at least he does his homework,
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that because there's a lot of people that don't do their homework and they just come off sounding very stupid.
Well, it may be their real self.
Well, especially in music, I'm a guy who's very a stickler, because I love music. I've been doing this for a long time. As a kid, I was one of those long-haired guys that didn't want to go to school, play rock and roll. I skipped school to buy concert tickets, Probably a lot like you. We come from the same breed, I think. That's why.
I think so indeed. Oh, that's why I have to mention one other thing. There's a band over here called the Colonies. Across them.
Right.
They teach you, a background that is modern jazz, guard jazz, all kinds of ethnic drumming, rapping.
What's the name of them again?
The Comet is coming.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're probably on YouTube, right? Maybe we'll look them up.
Yeah. They'll be on there.
Okay, great. Arthur, I want to thank you so much, man, for being on the show today. You're always one of my favorite interviews. You're a great guy. I admire you a lot. And, all good things for you. You got a lot of things happening. New album, a lot of collaborations, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I'm happy for you.
Well, Ray, thank you very much for having me on. And, just spreading all of the music around that you do. Glad to be a part of it.
Well, we'll have you on again after the album's released, okay? We'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah, all right. Lovely.
That'll be great. Thank you so much, Arthur. Take care over there.
Bye-bye, and bye-bye, all you listeners.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Purchase Gypsy Voodoo by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown and Zim Zam Zim by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown at Amazon.com. For more information about Arthur Brown, visit www.thegodofhellfire.com. That's his official website. Also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Arthur Brown. He's also on Instagram, www.instagram.com/GodOfHellfireActual. And he's on Twitter, twitter.com, GodOfHellfire5. Arthur Brown's Crazy World of Lockdown is also out there with this rendition of House of the Rising Sun. Dave Pegg is also on that tune. You can go to YouTube and just punch in Arthur Brown's Crazy World of Lockdown, and you'll get to hear that song. I want a very special thanks to the great Billy James of Glass Onion PR for arranging this interview with Arthur Brown, and of course, the dynamic duo of Doug and Don Newsom of VBS Radio for making the magic happen for each and every broadcast of Interviewing the Legends. If you have comments, suggestions for the show, you can contact me at interviewingthelegends@gmail.com. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get the latest interviews directly into your inbox. That's one great thing about this. It's all real news, people. No fake news here. And you can also stream the new single by Arthur Brown. The new single is also available on YouTube right now. And of course, my new book is finally out, entitled The Rockstar Chronicles, Series 1. It chronicles the truths, confessions, and wisdom from the music legends that set us all free. Order yours today on hardcover or ebook at bookbaby.com. It features over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest legends the world will ever know. Till next time, take care, peace, love, happiness, and thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye now.
This is Jeff Pilson of Foreigner, and you are listening to my buddy Ray Shasho on Interviewing the Legends at BBS Radio 1.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Interviewing the Legends. Brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call 941-877-1552 or visit us at publicityworksagency.com, specializing in author and music artist publicity plans. We shine when we make you shine. Tune in to Interviewing the Legends every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time on PBS Radio, Station 1.